Things that should be funded by the city are those things that individual residents can't provide for themselves, like the water, the roads, the sewers, and those kinds of things. Things that that we all enjoy, like the Arts Council and other similar kinds of things, can be privately funded. And I support them privately, and I think it's important that we support them privately. But I do think that when we as a council decide that we're going to take money out of your pocket, that we do it in such a way that provides benefits and services for the entire community and not just a small portion.
There is a third category, and that is that there are times this building is made available to the Arts Council. That's an expense to the city. We build ball fields and make it available to athletic programs that are run as leagues. So that combination is certainly beneficial to that group specific, but also to those who have their kids enrolled and keep them off the streets doing other things that are some of the things I did when I was a child. But the reality of it is we need to look at every issue, and it shouldn't be onerous on any individual. It should just be what's best for us, and it should be by majority decision if it needs to be settled that way.
Those things that must be managed by the city are the essential services: sewer, water, pressurized irrigation, fire, police, whatever is on that essential services list. This building is a good example of what the city can provide. I harangued the city council for several months to provide the $65,000 that it took to make this ADA compatible. So that we could take care of this. The remainder of the items that should be privately funded are those that do not benefit the entire community.
Government's a lot simpler than we tend to make things. Necessities and wants, but even necessities can be overdone. To double the size of a fire department when you have no increase in calls could be a waste of government expenditures and a waste of your money. Building a building twice the size of cities with populations of 109,000 people is an expense that probably shouldn't have happened, probably should have been looked at by the community, and probably should have had things done a little differently. But as a job as a mayor, even though I have opinions, it's my job to show you both sides of the picture, and it's your job to decide where you want your money to go, because it's not my money. It's not the city council's money, and it's not the fire department's, the police department's money, it's yours.
Well, I think government will spend as much money of your money as they can. And so I think it's a matter of priorities. What is a priority to townspeople? Do we want road maintenance? Do we want swimming pools? We need to sort out what our highest priorities are and live within the means that we have. And I think for other things, extra things like, say, recreation, we can look to volunteer groups. I think American Fork runs a great recreation program. Something like that might be done on a volunteer basis.
There are clear things that government should spend money on. There are things that it could that benefit the community and does, like the parks. There are other areas that are a little bit gray. My personal bias is I believe if it can be funded through donations, it should, because there's value to the giver and the receiver. When it's done by confiscation, I don't think as many people win. So I would look at any expense and say, is this something that can be handled through charitable contributions rather than government mandated funding? In the case of the library, I think we could look to have it become a fee-based service. We pay for library cards. You might not know it, but $52 on average out of your property taxes go specifically to libraries. So you're paying for the card anyway, whether you use it or not.
As already has been mentioned, the essential services are critical to be funded by the city at large, but when you start looking at the differentiation of the sources of city revenue, there's property tax, sales tax, and fees. I think one of my concerns is that the city is running way behind on sales tax revenue. For example, if you look at the American Fort budget this year, it's approximately $220 per resident in sales tax revenue. Highland is running about $100 in sales tax revenue. I'm not suggesting that we become American and Fork, but I think we need to develop our commercial tax base so that we have more sales tax revenue, so that revenue isn't such an issue. And then, of course, non-essential services should be funded privately, as we're doing currently.